This is the intro we did for the show, but we're not musical, as you may know. So we'll keep it just for a bit, as we do have words that kind of fit. If you can, make a better one, send it in, and that'll be fun, because we'll use it, get everyone laughing, because this one is embarrassing. TJ, I thought you could dance at this bit.
No.
TJ, are you dancing?
No, I'm not.
So come along and watch us code, make some stuff, and help you know that not much rhymes with draft. We'll make game for a laugh.
Yeah.
Way! TJ has popped onto screen. Pop. And I will pop it. Pop. Oh, I'm very big compared to you, TJ. I'm a huge giant. There we go. What I'll do is I'll slide myself behind you. Oh no, that won't work.
Hide my terrible hair.
There we go. Oh well, I'll just be big today. That's it. Well, welcome everybody to Game for a Laugh. We are going to be using Click Team Fusion 2.5, well, free edition anyway.
Yeah.
And there's a beautiful noise there. Can we have a yee one more time, TJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah. Everybody at home, after 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
We'll make it a thing. So we're going to be making a game. We're going to be looking at sort of an emotion, a feeling, and we're going to be building a game based around it, and we're going to hopefully have a laugh. So we're going to teach you a little bit of code, a little bit of jargon. Now, jargon... wait a minute. My magic button's not even working now. Oh, my magic button's meant to be flashing. Oh, sad times. Wait a minute.
Oh, I realised, Stream Deck updated literally about 20 minutes ago.
It's okay. I think I'll be alright. I
thought it'd, yeah.
There we go. Jargon alarm. There we go. Jargon alert. Okay, we're going to be using jargon, which means words that we don't understand. That words are like nerdy words and scientific words and computery words and all those type of things. And we'll hopefully explain them to you. So we're going to start and we're going to make a new application, which we've already explained as jargon. As an app, it's a game. We're going to make it. This is the screen size, and it's how many pixels, and they're the dots that make up the screen. We've already explained that, so we're not going to go into that. But today's topic, TJ, do you want to introduce it?
It is greed.
Greedy. So first...
you know all these chocolates you've been winning? If you ate the whole thing in one go, you might be being a little bit greedy. So
yeah, because it does say...
That's a demonstration of greed.
It does say sharing bar there, sharing. Okay, and we all know...
if you didn't share it with your family, then...
you wouldn't be caring, because sharing is caring, as we all know, as we get taught at primary school. So yeah, apart from with COVID-19, where stamping it out and destroying it and not sharing is the right thing to do. So there we go. The world is a complicated place. So we're looking at greed, the opposite of sharing, just taking stuff yourself, and we're going to build a little game around that. So we want to ask a question. This is not the chocolate question. This is just a normal question, okay? What thing would you really like to have a lot of? Okay, if you could have a lot of something, what would you have? For me, I think it's a mixture between yogurt and lying in. Maybe just lying in yogurt. That might solve it. That might be both things at the same time there.
Yogurt is a good choice.
Good. What would you, TJ, if you could have a lot of something, what would you have?
Oh, so my answer is going to sound greedy, but double purpose. Money, because I can do a lot of things with money, including a lot of good things which I wouldn't normally be able to. So I could help many people at once. And
that's the exact same reason I chose yogurt. It's the exact same reason. We're both very caring people. So we're going to start off. The thing about being greedy is it's taking. So we're going to build a game around taking. Now, TJ's very kindly already started to make some assets, or redo assets. TJ, what are assets apart from a very rude sounding word?
So, the different items or components we use in games. So, for example, a game is built up of animations and character models and walls and doors, assets of them, including even sounds. So it's the things the game is made up of. So the little things you kind of put in.
Fantastic.
All big things.
Great. Now, I've just got some visitors in the room who are looking to get something. Oh, it's around here. Sorry. This thing, it's all about sharing. And I'm sharing the lounge at the moment. There you go. So this is going to be the player. It's like a little... I haven't even turned the magnifier on. Now, the magnifier is a great tool in Windows that just lets you look closer at things, and theoretically, it means that I can... There we go. Zoom in.
I don't want them zooming in on my bad artwork. So.
Oh, okay. So,
no.
It's just like Meme City. Right, okay. Turn that into a GIF for us. That'd be lovely if anyone wants to edit that down to a GIF. Right, so our player, the computer doesn't do anything unless we tell it to do. And all of these things that TJ have made are active objects, but they won't be very active. Active objects move about. They won't be very active unless we give them some movement. So we're going to give it some movement. Anyone says what they'd like a lot of on Facebook? Or is
we've got food and Xbox and running. So 3 things you'd like
from the same person.
Healthy option.
Yeah.
Yeah. All from Ben here in the chat. So a lot of food and then a lot of running. So they kind of work together because you're going to need a lot of food if you've been running a lot. And then Xbox. I guess that's to relax afterwards.
Yeah.
Good combination.
I think, because if you mix them together, you have problems. So we've chosen 8 directions. I'm not going to stick to 8 directions. I'm just going to use it for my test because I'm going to create my grabber. Now, in Click Team Fusion, some code's already done for you. So the properties already adds the code in for movement under this little running man thing there. But we're going to go to the event editor. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. And just to remind you of the jargon, events are the rules of the game. You have a condition, that's if something's happening, and then you have an action, what you're going to do about it. So my condition is I'm going to set a key press to be the grabber. So I could set it to be whatever's on the joystick, but I'm going to have keyboard controls for this. So I'm going to say keyboard upon pressing a key, spacebar. And so when they press spacebar, I want this little player to launch an object. So it's going to fire out the claw, okay, and I'm just gonna launch in selected directions. I'm just gonna use the direction of the player for them. No, I'm going to launch. It's going to launch it upwards. There we go. Launch in selected direction, and they're all numbered, and they start off at 0 here and go anti-clockwise round to 31, and then if you said 32, it would count it as 0 because that's a full revolution. It's not. These aren't angles. These are just directions that Click Team decided for itself. Just there you go, 32 directions. So if I press spacebar, that's going to launch upwards. So if we run our application, I've put it on. Every time I press spacebar, boom, 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 boom. There we go. There's lots of claws. That works. Yay! So I think it's time for the chocolate question now.
Oh.
Now, you can win one of these chocolates. Or because it's Greed Week, shall we let them win 2?
Oh, but we need a really good answer then.
Yeah, okay. What we'll do is maybe we'll choose 2 winners, and then if it's the same person who's answered multiple times, they win 2 chocolates because it's Greed Week.
Okay. Yeah.
The question is, with being greedy, with taking for yourself, can you ever think of a good time it is to be greedy? So I want you to twist the question round like sometimes you do when a teacher asks you a question and you answer it with like a trick answer. Is there any good times that would be good to be greedy? So it might be a couple of sentences you have to type. So we'll give you a few moments to write this. Might be a little story you have to tell us about a time you thought, yeah, it's actually good that person was greedy, or animal was greedy, or thing was greedy. Is it ever good to be greedy? Tell us when you think it is good to be greedy, and we'll see. Okay, right, so this little player thing, if I double click on it, we can see that we have something here which is called the action point. Now, this action point here is like a little, what is it like, TJ? A target, I suppose.
It's like a small target, yeah.
Yeah. So this target is where all the action happens, and for us is where it's going to launch. So we want it to launch the claw from the centre. Now, a lot of people get stuck here and go, oh, I don't know, and this is a zoom tool, not a frying pan. So a lot of people get stuck and go, oh, I've moved the action point, and now I can't do anything else. It keeps on moving it. You just need to select something else if you want to do something else. So that's the action point. And this hotspot, this is the centre. So the centre is there, and then where it fires from is there. And then I just say, OK. And it's done. Now if I run my application, And just move it across. Boom, boom, boom. Now, they're still not centred, and I think that's because this doesn't have... There we go. This needs to have its centre placed there. And the chain, which we'll add in a second, will also need the centre in the dead centre. So we'll pop it there. Right, now we run our application.
We have a question.
Yeah? Go on.
Helen's put, when are you going to give the stuff to someone else?
When are we going to give the stuff to someone else? The chocolates? Did they miss the chocolate question?
I'm not sure. It's,
I know that's Toby sitting in for Helen now. So, or maybe Helen's just being super greedy and wants some chocolate. Who knows? So this claw, we're just going to slow down its speed, and I'm going to go back to the event editor, and I'm going to right click here and edit. This speed was way too fast for us, so we're going to choose 50 and run the application. Just hone it in. So yeah, if you get clarity about... There we go. Now, at the moment, we can spam the spacebar and just get loads of claws. But so that we've got a bit of gameplay, I'm going to make it so that there's only one claw at a time. So that's going to be an extra condition. So it's on the condition, we're going to add an extra condition, okay? And it's called insert. But in programming, it's called and. Two things have to happen at the same time. So if we press spacebar and we count how many there are, compare the number of claw objects. If there are no claw objects, then we can shoot. Okay, so let's try that. So have I...
that was an answer. That wasn't a question. That was the answer to the chocolate question.
So the answer to the chocolate is when you're going to give
if
it
you're
to something.
giving stuff to someone else.
Yeah.
I'm with you. That's
yeah, I'm still not 100% on that. It's a very good answer, but I'm still intrigued because I went to Lidl one time and they had some very cheap flowers, 70p for a bouquet of flowers, and I thought, I could buy like 3 bouquets and then I could give them out to people. And I thought, actually, I'll let people get them themselves to give out. So maybe it's okay if you've got a lot of money like TJ wants to have in order to give out to people, then it's okay. But then if you're just taking free stuff for yourself thinking I'll give it to people later, maybe it's not. Right, now
we have another answer.
Yep.
So when it's your friend's holiday and you give them a treat.
Yeah, that's very nice. I want to go on holiday with that person. TJ, I found my first of today bug. Okay, bit of code that's not working properly. I can't shoot at all. Now, the rules I have is upon pressing spacebar and there's no claws. Go on.
I think I know what might be doing it.
Go on.
Is there one on the map outside the play area?
Yeah, there it is. Sneaky, sneaky claw. Now, if I delete this one, it'll be okay because it creates them in the game, so it's still in my asset list. So let's try that. Well done, TJ. Let's see if that is the bug fixed. Yes, well done. Well done. Well done. Okay, I can shoot and then I can't shoot. There we go. That's all right. So the claws pretty much get destroyed when they leave my screen. The computer decides to delete them. I could do it a bit faster, but I'm all right with that. Now, TJ made a beautiful chain, but you say to yourself, this chain that you made is teeny tiny. It's super small. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny. Teeny tiny. Look at that. Look at that weird artifacting. Oh, wait. Can't even see the jargon. I'm so close in. Okay. There we go. So artifacting is when the graphics start displaying odd tears and odd glitching within it. And I think that's within the magnifier itself. It has some options for that. Settings. Let's have a look at magnifier.
It makes it look like it's drawn.
Yeah.
It's like someone drew your computer. But it looks really
smooth
cool.
Edges. There we go. So if we turn that off and have a look at zoom in, there we go. That's whoops. That's the magnifier coming in on the screen there. The whole magnifier. Okay. Look at that. 110%. 110%? No. 1,100%. Okay. Thank you. Going off on a tangent here. So we're going to create a chain behind the claw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a new condition that if the claw is overlapping the chain, but then I'm going to negate it. What's a negating, TJ?
So negating is the opposite. So if you have a rule saying if you're in this particular area and you negate it, it will be saying
When you're
if you are not in this particular area.
Yeah, and you have to add the negate afterwards in Click Team Fusion. In programming, it's called a not operator. This is an and operator. They happen at the same time. This is a not operator. And so the claw is not overlapping a chain. Then I want to create an object. I want to create the chain, and I'll create it on top of the claw, so relative to the claw. And we've done that before, the relative to, so it means it follows. So now if we run the application, and if I shoot, hopefully a chain will form behind. Whee! Now you can see how clever my computer is, and when it forgets to do things and when it doesn't. Here's a little chart of how quickly my computer's thinking. Right, now that's gone off and that's beautiful, but when the chain's gone, when the claw's gone, I want the chain to disappear too. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to keep track of which chain belongs to which claw. Although we can't shoot more than one at a time, so it doesn't matter, does it? If we can't shoot more than one at a time,
we could just delete
all the
chain.
Yeah. So if there's no claws, so new condition, this is just an easy way to do it. Pick or count. Compare to the number of compare to.
We've got a really good answer as well.
Yeah, go on. When's
So
it good to be greedy, TJ? You tell me.
I love this one. When it's Christmas and your nana's made the best Christmas dinner, being greedy makes your nan happy.
That's. Oh, I tell you what. That's definitely a winner in my book. I think that's a quote that we need to place onto social media.
That's great.
Times to be greedy.
It's better than what I was thinking.
It's a very, very smart group. So if we run our application, I've said that if the claw gets destroyed, then all the chain gets destroyed. There we go. Ooh. Interesting. Look at that. We found our second bug of the day. So now I don't I don't have any. Nothing, TJ. None of them. And that's got me a little bit stumped because it should have only destroyed it as a one-off thing. So if it's not overlapping, create one. Awesome. I'm going to try a different rule here. I'm just going to say that when the
collides with the
I'm just going to say, yeah, when it leaves... Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
That is what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly what I'm doing, TJ. It's like you read my mind. So we're saying that when it tries to leave the screen, we'll destroy it, and we'll destroy the chain at that point, but only at that point. There we go. There we go. Right, now, we've got an issue that we can move while the claw is going about, but we want the greed to be a little bit of a disadvantage as we're reaching out. So what we'll do... Oh, look, I left a tiny one. Tiny weeny one left there. Another bug of the game.
Weird.
Oh, no. That jargon alert was me pressing the wrong button. Weird? What does weird mean, TJ?
Weird is not normal.
Not normal. And if you're watching this show, you may understand what weird is more than most. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that if... so that the chain is always attached, we're just going to be a little bit sneaky and say it's a bit of a disadvantage. While it's grabbing, we're not going to be able to move. So we'll just say a new condition that when we press spacebar and it creates one, we're going to add another action under the player control, and we're going to say player control, ignore control. And then when it leaves the player and gets destroyed, we're going to go player control, restore control. Restore just meaning to bring back. So there we go. So let's have a quickie look. So I'm moving about. I shoot. Ooh, see the delay. Oh, I know why there's a delay. I could say that there's a bug, but it's just the fact that something called deceleration. Now, deceleration is how long something takes to stop. It's the opposite of acceleration. So deceleration is how much it slows down. And because my deceleration is low at 50, I can max it at 250. 250 will be an instantaneous stop. So as soon as the controls stop, it stops. But I'm not going to do that. That would solve it. But the other thing I could do is just say I could ignore control and add another action onto here and say that we want to ignore control, and for the actual vehicle that we're moving, we want it to stop. So therefore, that way I can move left and right and have this sort of slidey movement, let go, this kind of slowing to stop, and then still have it. Great. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we need your input here. We need to know what we're going to be grabbing in this thing. So, what are we going to be grabbing? Are we going to be grabbing rocks? Are we going to be grabbing animals? Are we going to be grabbing potatoes? Are we going to be grabbing food, money? What is it that in our greed game we're going to be trying to grab as much of?
See, this is where my greed idea could apply.
Oh,
I was thinking...
You have to type it in the comments. You have to type it in the comments. Go on, type it in the comments. Okay, but read it out as you type it.
So, when you go to a dog shelter...
Yeah, every week, yep.
So if you go to a dog shelter...
Okay, wait a minute. What is a dog shelter, TJ, for those people?
So a dog shelter is where there are dogs which have either been lost and not reclaimed, or they're like homeless, and it's a shelter where they're taken in to try and find them a new home and just make sure they're healthy in the time being.
Yeah.
But yeah, in a dog shelter, if I was going to be really greedy, I'd go in and adopt all the dogs. So I think that'd be a good time to be greedy. Just me having all the dogs.
As long as you could look after them, TJ. But yeah, all the dogs.
Better than myself.
Wow, all the dogs. Surely there's some dogs you don't like.
Oh no, I like doggos. I love every single doggo, every breed,
That's another quote of today's session. I love every single doggo. So yeah. So I've just put a little active object, which is going to be our collectible. Just name it there. And we're going to have it so that if the claw hits the collectible, then the collectible gets pulled towards the player. Now we're going to use our flags again. I know we've explained it a few times, but we might have some new viewers. So a flag, TJ?
A flag is just like a switch. It's something you can either set to being on or off, or you can toggle it. So if it's on, it'll switch to off. If it's off, it'll switch to on. It's basically a switch.
So I've made one which says caught by P1. And so what we're going to say is a new condition that if, and this is a really, really common rule, is a collision rule. If the claw collides with another object, and then you've got a choice of objects, and so we said claw, so we have to remember this is the other object. Collision between claw and object. And if you notice, these are green. Now, these green rules are special rules. These are ones that are triggered. Okay. It's going to be difficult to explain this. Triggered means that it does that bit of the code, so straight away. So like you have a trigger on a gun to make the bullet come out straight away, these are triggered by something happening. So this is not when something leaves the play area, instantly this rule happens, this rule is triggered. The rest of the rules actually happen by the computer scanning down the list of conditions about 60 times a second, 100 times a second, depending what you've got your frame rate set as. And these ones jump out so that if this happens, even when the computer's looking at this rule, it will jump to that rule and do it. So these ones kind of have priority. That's why they're green. And also, if you add them in the wrong order, they go red to say you put a green one. There we go. You put a green one, not as the top rule, and so they go red. So saying that's not going to work properly. So collision between this and this, we want to turn its flag, set it to on, caught by player one. And then we can say new condition that if this flag is on, caught by player one, then we want to set its movement. Oh, let's add a second movement to this. It's got just 0 movement for path, and computers count from 0. Like most computer aspects, sort of when you put things in, they'll count from 0. 0 counts as a value. They don't want to waste any numbers, so they start off at 0. So movement 1, and we're going to change this to bouncing ball movement. And so if caught by player 1 is on, then movement, change the multiple movements, select the movement to movement 1. I'll give it a better name than movement 1. That will cause problems later on. Let's call this caught, and let's call this free. Oh, it's good. It's a good time to remind people that at iGamers.io we've got the Boris game up, and we'll show you that at the end. Have you had a play, TJ? Have you had a play?
Not yet, but now I know it's up and ready.
Yeah, you can have a play. You can have a play. It was up. Yeah. And this game at the end of the week, so 2 more sessions, we will finish it off, will be up to play as well. So it selects the movement caught and direction. look in the direction of me. And that's the thing about being greedy. It's always about the person being greedy. Me, 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 me. So let's try that. That's flying about. I shoot this up. Ooh, we've lost the chain. There we go. And it's come back to me. And so it's always on me, me, me. All right, okay. I think I'm going to leave it that it sticks to you. So maybe you get bigger and bigger. And maybe we say, new condition, that if this collides with you, then make it bounce off. And that way, you'll start to get filled up with... it's on the wrong screen. Oh man. This is why people test their games not on live streams. There we go. There we go. Ooh, there we go. Now it's following me. Look at it. Chasing me. Good. And I can start to get more and more. All right. So we've got a bug of the chain. But do you know what? It's so close to the end of the show that I think we'll look at that in between shows. Why is that? Oh, the number of that even destroy. I'm gonna inactivate this line, which just means it won't run. But it's still there for me to see, just in case I want to fix it. And see if that is the line that's causing the problem. And it is the line that's causing the problem. So I'll have a look at that. Yeah.
We have a question in the chat.
Yeah, go on.
Why do they not start from -10 or any of the negatives?
Okay, so computers want to fill up as little space as possible. And for them to remember a number, they start off with 0 and then they work 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, in order to have a negative number takes up more memory than just a positive number. So the fact is that it has to remember it's a minus. So if you think that every time you write down a digit, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's taking up space on the paper. Now if you write -1 or -10, that's -10 is taking up 3 spaces on the paper. And if you write 0, it doesn't take up any. So it starts off at 0 and then works its way up in the amount of memory it's used. But computers, as we spoke about before, have a special way of counting called binary. And they don't want to miss out anything. So they start everything at 0 because they have that memory allocation available. They have 0 and they have 1. So they have 0 to 255 if they've got 8 bits of information, which is jargon, but we'll talk about it later. But that's my take on it, because that's what they do. Right, TJ, we'll save this game. Always good to save your game. Always good to give it a version number as well, so people know. Greed game version 1. Boom. There we go. And we'll come back to it on Wednesday. But we'll give people a quick look at the Boris game that they are. Oh, do you know what? I've accidentally... I accidentally loaded up the live stream as my page. Here we go. Here we go. This is where we're putting a lot of our games on. And there it is. Keep calm, Boris. And you use WASD to move him around. I have to move myself out of the way. And remember, when he gets too angry, you lose control of him. And that PPE that I'm trying to get down there, and that guy didn't get too angry. He's gone into a rage. I've lost control. Okay, I've got regained control. I'm going to get that PPE.
I love the funky music.
It's beautiful music. There we go. Oh, he's gone through a wall. He raged through a wall. There we go. And you've got a minute. I won't play it for the full minute, but I managed to get 12 points in half a minute. So imagine I got 24 in the full game. You try and beat me. And then if you press this little button, you can choose another game. That's nice.
Another game?
Okay, TJ, so have you chosen the 2 people for the greed thing? Maybe if you just comment on their post. TJ will now comment on your post saying, send us your address if we don't already have it, but don't do it publicly. Be careful about the information that you share. There we go. So, TJ, do you want to end with a wise word about greed?
Yes, only be greedy if it's going to benefit other people as well as yourself, and be greedy with the right things. Like we said earlier, we are currently not sharing as much things as possible because we're trying to not spread any chance of the virus. So yeah, just be safe and try and be greedy in a beneficial way.
There we go. Try and be greedy in a beneficial way. Good. Use what if you have lots of something, share it out. Apart from if you're ill and got a disease. All right then. Okay, take care everybody, and we will see you on Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.
This is the intro we did for the
show,
but we're not